The Ukrainian military rejects claims by the Russian Wagner mercenary group that it has captured Yahidne, a village on the northern outskirts of Bakhmut. Ukraine says Russian troops are continuing their offensive around the town of Bakhmut, in a war of attrition that has dragged on for months. But a military statement spoke of failed offensives by Russia in 6 areas of Donetsk, including Berkiva and Yahidne. Although Russian troops have made progress besieging Bakhmut in recent weeks, they have yet to take the town. The General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces reported on February 26 that Russia had lost 148,690 soldiers in Ukraine since the start of the full-scale invasion, with 560 missing in the past day. Meanwhile, the armed forces of Ukraine hit 2 of the 3 Russian military tanks that attacked their positions in the Donetsk region with 2 successive hits from the domestic anti-tank missile system Stugna-P. This was reported by ZSU's operative Telegram channel. Actually, judging by the video, not sure about the destruction itself, but the direct hits and at least the critical damage guaranteed by disabled tanks. It is noteworthy that the missiles flew to the target in less than 10 seconds. Accordingly, the distance to them was less than 2 kilometers. Most recently, Ukrainian troops scrambled its air defenses Monday morning after Russia launched an attack with Iranian-made drones, the Ukrainian military said in a Telegram post. Ukrainian authorities say 11 of the 14 Shade drones launched by Russia were shot down, with the majority destroyed near Kiev, according to initial estimates. The drone strike was actually carried out in 2 waves, extending as much as possible. That is why the night air raid alarm on Kiev lasted 5.5 hours, the Kiev City Military Administration said in a statement. So far, there have been no casualties or attacks on infrastructure facilities, according to Serhiy Popko, head of the Kiev City's military administration. Until a few weeks ago, the fighting was mostly fought with tanks, artillery, and mortars. Bakhmut is increasingly becoming an urban battleground, with every street and building in the suburbs and surrounding villages being fought over. Russian troops, including mercenaries from the private military company Wagner, had been advancing towards the city center from the east, south, and north. Ukrainian units launched frequent counterattacks to try to retake some territory and defend their precarious access to Bakhmut from the west. Access was gradually made more complicated as the route to the city was controlled by Russian forces. Ukrainian soldiers on unofficial social media accounts said they were increasingly relying on dirt roads to reach and leave Bakhmut, paths that may become impassable in frost turning to mud. After the war this week entered its 2nd year, Dara Masakot, a senior policy officer at the RAND Corporation, said Russian forces faced 2 major hurdles they had not expected at the start of the campaign. Russia's elite troops likely suffered heavy casualties during their latest offensive on Donetsk, the UK's Ministry of Defence said on Sunday. The operations commander of the Ukrainian Joint Forces has been removed from his post, President Volodymyr Zelensky announced in a decree Sunday. Major General Eduard Mikhailovich Moskalev had been appointed to the position last March when Lieutenant General Alexander Pavlyuk was appointed head of the Kiev Regional Military Administration. Zelensky did not provide an explanation for Moskalev's dismissal, but it was the latest in a series of recent leadership changes his administration has undertaken. Ukrainian authorities have carried out a series of searches and anti-corruption crackdowns across the country, and various sackings of high-ranking officials have followed. It is not yet clear whether Moskalev's dismissal is related to the recent corruption purge. Meanwhile, almost daily Russian troops are losing at least 500 soldiers, killed in action during the onslaught on Ukraine's Bakhmut in Donetsk Oblast. Ukraine's Defense Minister Oleksiy Reznikov told Italian newspaper La Repubblica. The Russian offensive in the Donbass region has cost the Russian army dearly, Reznikov said. Reznikov praised the Ukrainian soldiers' bravery in defending Bakhmut, a small town in Donetsk Oblast that Russia has been trying to conquer since August 2022, despite being under constant attacks. Bakhmut is a stronghold, where Ukrainian defenders reduce the enemy's ability to muster forces for large-scale attacks, added Reznikov. Reznikov promised that the war would change in the spring, when a major Ukrainian counteroffensive would begin. With our anti-aircraft and tank systems, we will launch a new attack. We want to recapture the whole country, including the occupied Crimea and Donbass, Reznikov concluded. Ukraine has launched a series of sorties against Russian troops and supply lines in Mariupol. The first attack after a brutal 3-month siege that left the main harbor in ruins. There were at least 18 attacks last week for 3 days in a row. The latest on Friday evening, in a significant escalation of Ukraine's efforts to recapture its captured southern corridor, the strip of coastal land connected to Crimea. There has been speculation the explosion occurred amid Ukrainian warnings of a Russian attack to coincide with the first anniversary of the war, possibly involving a new US-donated long-range rocket with a range of nearly 100 miles. Oleksiy Danilov, Secretary of the National Defense and Security Council of Ukraine, said, "Our military destroyed the Russian terrorists who invaded our city called Mariupol. And believe me, the distance is not so important for us today." Analysts believe the new initiatives signals a launch of Ukraine's efforts to drive a gap to the coast between Russian troops in the east and south of the country. There was talk of a major spring offensive after their military was strengthened by Western weapons. Mariupol sources said the attack, which was targeted with the help of local investigators, hit an ammunition depot, fuel depot and military barracks based at a steel factory, resulting in 50 Russian casualties in the first wave of explosions.